Hi everyone, my name is Seema Shah-Fairbank. I'm a civil engineering faculty member at Cal Poly Pomona. And so some of this became situational for me. So as I tell this story, my situation was never placed in the paper, but I'm going to share with you why it kind of happened, because I think it makes some reasons to where I'm at today. So I teach a course called Engineering Hydrology. It's a senior level design course. We have almost 250 students that go through this class annually because of how large our program is. It's a required course. And so all the data is only of the classes I teach because I can control it, so that we're comparing apples to apples along the way so that it's clear. So when I was trying to decide what I want to do and where I'm headed with this, I still remember the day I was a student, sitting where you are, listening to my professors speak or my teachers speak to me and telling me how it all works and how it all is done. Okay, so yeah, but I'm still not getting it. Because I didn't fit all the learning style that I was best for me was not the learning style that was working in that environment. And when we teach in a very traditional learning style, and I'm thinking in this room, this slide's really tiny, we're looking at someone that's more oriented towards the theory, making sure, okay, here's the theory, this is how it works. We're talking about verbally, so I write on the board, I speak to them. That's kind of the interaction they're seeing. They're very passive. They're sitting like you are listening to me. This is what we do. We're really good at it. And I'm doing it right now, but I don't like it. So I guess with the technology that Paul's trying to set up, we'll be able to give this to you ahead of time, and they'll come back and we'll have discussion instead. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to engage an active engagement of my students. I was bored. I've only been doing this for 8 years and I'm bored. There's a problem. I have to do this for 30, I think. I can't retire quite yet. I need to do something different. And so I wanted to incorporate more learning styles. So yes, this works for many. They're used to it. They work well with it. But for others, they want to just talk. I wish you guys were playing on your cell phones right now. The 2 students up here, this would be what we're doing. And I have a rule. If I catch you with your cell phone, you lose 5% off your final exam. So they don't take it out anymore because it just doesn't work. It doesn't allow us to interact. I wanted to develop a student-driven environment. I wanted them to tell me what they don't understand. I wanted them to tell me, not me tell them what they don't know. I wanted to expand a peer-based learning environment, and we hear it constantly, right? The day you go out into industry, it's not about you. You're going to work with 50 other people or in a team of 5, in a team of 10. And what do we lack? Communication skills and talking with each other and conveying our ideas to each other in an intimidating environment or in an environment, that we're familiar with. So more teamwork and more problem solving. I would ask a question and crickets would happen. There'd be crickets. You guys, we all have it, right? There's crickets. I just asked you, is it gonna rain today? The answer is maybe. That's the answer. It's always maybe. If anybody ever asks you that question, it's always maybe, because you don't know. No, there's the science behind it sometimes is, not completely understood. And so the crickets would happen, and it wasn't fun again. Do you like what I'm teaching you? Are you just here because it's required? And I wanted more participation. Let's just talk about this. Let's talk about, is it gonna rain? So I actually wanted to compare it. So I moved through the process of, I started in 2009, and I taught the way I was taught. I came to the board, I wrote on the board, I told them how it is. We did problems as a class. As I was in the traditional classroom, we did a little more group time, but it wasn't we didn't have enough time. The contact time of giving them all the material just didn't go well. And as you can tell, I talk fast. I write just as fast. So I can put a lot up in 2 hours or in 1 hour and 50 minutes. My student here can probably attest to how much I can say in a short time. So in the traditional environment, the course met face-to-face. We did exactly what we're all used to. I lectured. We did problems occasionally or as a team on the board. But they had to pretty much pay attention. Well, I lost them after 10 minutes. Right? That's why these presentations are only 15. A situation happened to me in 2015. I had a son, he got sick, and I was in and out of the hospital. It's situational. I had gone to Paul's Camtasia video lessoning. It didn't work for me because I don't teach with PowerPoint. Another colleague of mine uses something called Doceres on an iPad. It looks just like your Blackboard. I write, and then I video over it. I can bring in images, I can write, I can circle stuff. It was really easy. I didn't have to be as savvy with my PowerPoint. And so I started creating videos. And when I was in class, we could talk and do problems and do all that stuff. But the interaction was gone. We only met once a week. And occasionally someone came in my place to meet for that once a week. I got a waiver from the college to let me do it because of the situation I was in. I was making the videos as I was dealing with family stuff. But I spent all this time creating videos. So I went fully. And I'm finishing one today for Monday's class that needs to get uploaded by the end of the day. It's the only ones I have left, I think, for the next 5 weeks. And now the students have the opportunity to watch videos. So I YouTube everything. I make it public to the masses. I have people all over the world watching them. Thank you. Which is, again, rewarding, right? It's rewarding. We all do it. It's rewarding. So we use both classroom and online instruction. We still meet for the 4 hours a week in class, but we spend most of the time discussing and problem solving. So what I'm going to talk to you about is what I found. There's lots of literature out there on does it work, doesn't it work? Some people say it helped me. Some people will tell you that, hey, I love not meeting all the time. Of course. My daughter is 4, she doesn't want to go to school. I mean, they all want to stay home if they could. So some of them struggle with the format. There was improvement in performance in some studies. There was an increase in oral and leadership communication through group work. There are slightly better results, but then there's tons of studies out there that shows no change. No change in results. Everything looks similar. So let's talk about the class. So it's Civil Engineering 451, a senior level class. There are juniors that take it. That's me. I'm the single instructor. My colleague who co-authored it also does flipped classroom learning and water resources classes, and he had started some of the material for this class. The teaching that was done over the course of the few years that the data is presenting in is from 2013 to 2015. It was a traditional face-to-face lecture, about 71 students that I had through that time period. Hybrid from 2015 to 2016, I had 66 students. And this past fall, I had 66 going through flipped. And right now, I have more. So the students were graded based on homework, quizzes and participation, design project, midterms, and final exams, similar to what we do. And so what I wanted to see, was there a difference? Did students perform differently? Same instructor. The key thing here is that this is all grouped together, and I say I give participation, you just need to show up to get participation. So I'm not really using it as accurately as I should be. Quizzes are very similar to how they always have been. It's more of a content quiz. It's not in-depth thinking. It's, did you watch the video? Can you answer the question? So here's direct assessment of midterm exams. So on your x-axis, you see letter grades. I'm not sure if the colors are working today in here, but in the blue is going to be our traditional classroom environment. In the red is the hybrid. And in the green is our flipped. And so, you see a lot of variability, but one of the things that's really keen to notice is that when you look at the grade assessment, so students that got a C or better, so a 73% or better, or below a 73%, when it came to the flipped and the face-to-face classroom, they're almost identical. The students are getting the same contact time. we're not seeing much difference. There's a little more going on in the hybrid, but remember, I told you it was situational too. So I think it has a lot to do with my situation that year. Final exam scores are starting to look a lot more similar. Students are not, there's not as much variability happening. Students' performance is relatively similar. There are some highs in the flipped classrooms, which were really notable. And so there were more highs in that end, which showed data. But when you looked at their assessment of how they performed as a classroom as a whole, we have it's the same. About 61% of the students on average got the exact same grade. And this was really keen because you've gone all through the quarter. It didn't change. So the overall grade distribution for the class, overall, again, it looks very similar. They're performing really well. And we were talking earlier, you can see in the hybrid and the flip, students are performing about the same in the end. And one of the things that's noticeable is this. Students perform better in homework as they went into the flipped and hybrid classrooms slightly because they had a lot more in-class problem solving. Their quizzes are all about the same because it was just content driven. So my content is relatively it's not changing very much. Again, you saw the difference in the grades, but what's really noticeable to note is the spread. What I'm noticing in my students is there's less spread in how they're performing. So they're actually, maybe I'm teaching better and they're all lining up. And one day that spread will just disappear and then I have to completely change. But what I'm seeing is that spread is decreasing, and that's really notable, and I think what's interesting. So an indirect assessment, that was all direct. This is not being done anything but word of mouth. Some students in the hybrid courses verbally express disappointment. I don't like this. This is not working for me. Some prefer that reduced time. I don't want to come to school. I want to work instead. And some students seem less engaged and more confused because they weren't with you. On the flip courses, I see a personal satisfaction, so I can tell you this is me. Increased satisfaction with teaching. I love going to work. My interactions with students has grown significantly. I talk with them. I'm not talking to them. We're talking together. You ever saw that light bulb? Don't you love the light bulb? Why we became professors, I think, is the light bulb. And I'm talking in class. So they watch these online videos. We talk for almost a half hour before we ever do work. And the light bulb pops constantly. There's a lot more communication and leadership. And you're seeing quiet students speak up. You're seeing students that always spoke, sometimes taking the back seat because they might not understand everything. So it's been really cool. And I think a greater level of confidence in my students. More excited about their topic, more excited about what they're about to do. So in summary and conclusion, what I'm seeing, I'm doing okay. Flipped hybrid, so that you guys see it, from my face-to-face, my hybrid and the flipped classes, my notes and the content is identical. I created a notebook with all the lecture material and problems they're going to work on. So from the past so many years, they have the same material. The performance has not varied, but the spread has. The tests are similar, if not the same. So the final exam is identical since 2013. I purposely chose not to change it, just to see. The hybrid and flip, the lectures are consistent now. They're getting the exact same material, whether they saw it in 2015 or 2016. And I haven't changed it yet. I do need to go in and make some modifications. There's increased teamwork, communication, and leadership skills, which we all want. We want that. We want communicators. In the flipped, I see an increased level of engagement with students on these confusing topics. So we're talking statistics, and they don't understand it. And so they're talking about it. More in-class questions, they're questioning me. They're learning the materials a lot more. They didn't understand something on the video, they bring it to the class. And as I said before, I'm enjoying myself tremendously, probably like my colleague. reason we come to school. Reason we're coming to school. So where are we headed? I've not done a true comparison of different instructors. I have a part-timer going. Give me a minute. A part-timer going. I have a part-timer going this quarter who's using my material identically, and we're going to be able to compare two different instructors. There's additional discussion being added into the class based on my realization that they're still having trouble with conceptual concepts. I'm pausing a lot more. I'm stopping class, pausing, and we're going to run a student satisfaction survey. So then over the summer, material can be updated to rerun next year. I went over, but he was very kind about it. So thank you again, and entertain questions.